Hello students, today we are going to do an excerpt from the novel The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. What's an excerpt, children? A short piece taken from a book, film, piece of music, etc. Clear? Now children, Mark Twain was an American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, publisher, and lecturer. He was lauded as the greatest humorist the United States has produced, and William Faulkner, who is another American writer, called him the father of American literature. His novels include The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, that we are going to do today, that means an excerpt from the same novel, and its sequel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the latter often called the Great American Novel. Okay, children. Now, children, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer is a novel about a young boy growing up in a town along the Mississippi River in Missouri, USA, where Mark Twain grew up. Okay? Aunt Polly looked over her spectacles and called out as loudly as she could, "Tom, Tom," and there was no answer. That means Tom is not around. Drat that boy. That means she's annoyed because Tom is not responding. She muttered to herself, always up to some mischief. So she says that Tom is always up to some mischief. This time I'm going to catch him for sure. She says that this time she's going to catch him red-handed. She went to the window and called out again, "Yoo-hoo, Tom!" Just then she heard a scuffling sound behind her. Scuffling, a short, not very violent fight. She quickly turned around and grabbed a scruffy little boy by his collar. Scruffy, dirty, shabby. It was Tom, who was trying to escape without being seen by his Aunt Polly. That means she wants him to respond and he is deliberately not doing that. That is why he is trying to escape. Aha! Got you. Where have you been, Master Tom? Now Aunt Polly is inquiring that where have you been, Master Tom? Aunt Polly is agitated now because he is not responding. So Aunt Polly shook Tom hard. What were you doing in the closet? She is asking a question, that what were you doing in the closet? Clear, children? Now, children, Aunt Polly is asking a question and Tom says, "Nothing, nothing at all," protested Tom. That means when you do not approve of anything, protest. "I have only just come from school." "What do you have on your face?" Aunt Polly demanded. "I don't know, Aunt," said Tom. Now he is lying. That we'll come to know later when we read ahead. "Well, if you don't, then I do. You have been stealing jam again. 100 times have I told you not to put your greasy fingers into the jam jar. I'm going to skin you alive. That means I'm going to punish you severely," snapped Aunt Polly, holding tight onto Tom's shirt. He's stealing jam. It might be visible on his face, around his lips maybe. That is why she gets to know that he's stealing jam. "Look behind you, Aunt, quickly now," exclaimed Tom urgently. Aunt Polly whirled around and in that instant Tom struggled free and disappeared like a shot. That means he has tricked Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly stood silent for a minute and then laughed to herself. Drat the boy, I'll never learn anything. It's the oldest trick in the book that I fell for, she said to herself. Oh, but he's a dear boy after all. Now this sentence shows that Tom is dear to Aunt Polly. And my dead sister's son too. Now who is Tom? He is the son of Aunt Polly's sister. It is my duty to look after him, naturally. I know he's going to play hooky this evening, a game. I'll just have to make him work on Saturday. Now why do you think she is saying all this? That I'll just have to make him work on Saturday? Because she wants Tom to be a responsible child. Okay, children. Aunt Polly loved Tom. She looked after him well. But she also made him work around the house to help her. Jim, a small colored boy, helped too. Jim, another character who is helping Aunt Polly. But Tom was always thinking of ways to get off without doing his chores, the work. He's least interested in doing all of that things. Clear? That evening, Tom did play hooky. He was whistling, walking around, looking out for some fun and games. Suddenly, he saw a boy he had never seen before. Now, this boy was well dressed, too well dressed for Tom's liking. That means he's not liking the way he's dressed. Here was just the person with whom he could pick a fight. Now, Tom is interested in fighting. Hey you, said Tom cheekily. That means he's teasing the other person. I bet I can lick you. Cheekily, that means when you're already in an annoyed or a rude manner. You just try and see, retorted the boy, not a jot afraid. Soon the two boys were in a jolly old fight, and soon they developed an argument and they started fighting. Tom struck the boy, and soon both of them were rolling and tumbling in the mud, snarling and scratching each other like cats. They were actually fighting like cats. And then they pulled each other's hair and clothes, scratched each other's face, and enjoyed covering themselves with dust. So dust and mud, it's something pretty common, children. You know that children have a fascination with dirt. The dirtier the better. And they can literally spend hours playing in the dirt, moving it around, making dirt cakes and dust pies, mud pies, and covering themselves in earthy brown goodness. So they're drawn to play with dirt from the youngest of ages. In a similar manner, both of them are doing. So, covering themselves with dust and fighting like cats. Clear, children? Now, children, when Tom got home that evening, Aunt Polly took one look at his clothes and said, "Been in a fight again, Tom? Well, you will just have to pay for it." And what is the punishment given, children? You have to whitewash the entire fence tomorrow. "Aunt Polly," protested Tom. He is annoyed. "Tomorrow is Saturday. I had planned to go swimming." "No swimming till the fence is done," said Aunt Polly, and refused to discuss it anymore. Okay. The next morning, Tom woke up feeling blue. He was feeling sad. Then he remembered why. He had to whitewash the fence and couldn't go swimming with his friends. He hated the job, but there was no way out for Tom. There was no choice left for him. So Aunt Polly would thrash him if he didn't finish it. Tom knows about it, that he cannot have an escape. He groaned to himself and stepped out carrying the paint and a paintbrush. Gloomily, that means he's sad, Tom began to whitewash the fence, thinking of his friends who had gone swimming. Just then, one of his friends, Ben, arrived. Now, we have yet another character, Ben. Tom, is that you? Working on a Saturday too? Now, he's teasing Tom. He said with a sneer. Now, Tom is very clear, children. And he's very clever about what he has to say. Tom thought quickly. It would not do for his friends to know that Aunt Polly ruled him with an iron hand. He would never let anyone know that. Working? Oh no, he replied jauntily, in a very cheerful mood. I'm having a right old time splashing whitewash on the fence. He speaks in a manner so that the other person actually feels that he is thoroughly enjoying it. See, it is fun. In a way, he is inviting him to do that, na? To whitewash the fence. And he splashed the white paint all over the fence. Clear, children? Coming to the character of Tom Sawyer and Aunt Polly. Tom Sawyer, if you look at the keywords, children, young protagonist, pure-hearted, epitome of the all-American boy, that means the perfect example, attention-getting streak, heart of gold, clever trickster. Aunt Polly, Tom Sawyer's aunt, kind-hearted, simple old woman. So these are the keywords you're going to keep in mind when you are going to frame the character sketch of Tom Sawyer and Aunt Polly. Okay, children? Now, children, these are the difficult words that you can go through so that you understand the meaning. Drat, scuffling, scruffy, protested, urgently, hooky, cheekily, lick. So you can go through the meanings so that you understand them better. Clear, children? Now, children, based on the first half of the chapter, you have your worksheet. So 5 questions to be done based on the first half of the chapter. I hope you'll be able to handle all these questions. Stay safe, children. God bless you.